You're now joining the meeting.
What I may do is show some. I want to keep it right at 30 minutes. As soon as it gets to 30, know about that. Hello, this is Derek. Can you guys hear me okay? I want to get back.
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure. We're on. Yep. We're on speaker here. So, Coach is here. I'm gonna have him start if he has any cleanup from Chicago State the other night, and then we'll take your questions regarding UAB. Go ahead, Coach.
Obviously, in terms of just cleanup from the game, we got to defend better. Just very simple. Our habits have got to be better. We've got to defend a lot better than we defended, not only in that game but throughout to this point. I got to see some improvement from guys in certain areas. I don't think it's that they don't care or that they're apathetic, but we need some of these, especially some of our newcomers, to start embracing some of the habits that we need to be successful defensively. In terms of the trip, obviously we leave today. It's a great tournament, great competition. We're looking forward to the challenge of playing UAB, a team that went to the NCAA tournament last year, that returns the bulk of their team, very similar to a lot of the teams that we've played to this juncture. They're very, very good. They're very well coached. They're very athletic. They're big up front. They've got experience. You can tell from watching them. They're very connected on the offensive end. They know their reads. They play very well together. It'll be a big time challenge for us. Our early season schedule here is certainly given us a chance to grow, and that's what you want. Obviously, some of our newcomers and younger guys are having to learn on the fly pretty quickly here against good teams, against good competition. I'm hoping as we move forward, that allows us to be even more successful down the road in terms of having maybe even more depth than what we would have initially anticipated. Questions?
John, this is Lauren. Have you ever had a team either as an assistant coach or head coach where you had this many problems defensively?
Yeah, I'm sure I have, and it's usually with youthful teams or first-year teams that maybe you have. When you first get to a place as they're trying to learn and embrace the system. And we've had obviously a lot of instability with our roster. I think that's part of it. Obviously, I don't want to use that as an excuse, but we've got the staff keeps reminding me to be aggressively patient, but we're playing a lot of guys that are hearing some of this stuff for the first time and going through it for the first time. But at this point, we're 5 games in, and it's kind of what I'm going to tell them today. At some point here, fellas, we got to see some of these things start to become habits. I think excellence is achieved through habits, winning habits, and right now we just don't have enough winning habits on that end of the floor. And that's what we've got to grow to become as a defensive team on the defensive end, as a team that has winning habits down there. We've got to have a lot better habits.
Well, I'll follow up. Substitution pattern. Have you thought any more? The long-range plan. What do you think is the right number of players for this team when you get everybody back?
Well, I usually in a perfect world will play 9, and some of the teams we've had that have been really good 8. But I do think what's happened is some guys have gotten some experience in terms of amount of minutes that probably even some of them, and I love all of them, but some of them maybe hadn't earned. And what's happened through this process is through doing that, they've gotten better. And so what that looks like, who we get back, when we get them back, how healthy are they, how long does it take to really get them back? There's a difference between having a physical, live, breathing body playing and someone that's playing that actually has good habits and is in great condition and has timing, and that's a process. There's no shortcuts to that. So unfortunately, just because of that, with the injuries, Lauren, we've had to really friend of mine, Ray Elliott, sent me an email this week. The Marine Corps, they say improvise, adapt, and overcome. And we've had to do that an awful lot. We've got to continue to do that. And I do think, as we forecast moving forward, I do think that stability is coming with some of those injuries. I just don't know exactly when and how long that's going to take. But because of that, I think that this team could be 9 to 10, because some guys, and that's maybe the silver lining in the cloud, is that additional depth.
John, what do you want to give us a rundown on Tate and Black, your plans for them Friday?
Well, they're still day to day at this point. We'll see how it goes. What the doctors are saying. Tate has the stitches out, which is good. Now we just got to kind of move forward with that and see how he feels, and can he dribble? Can he how's the hand feel? I don't think we're really going to know until we kind of throw him in there in practice here and maybe see what he looks like. LaRon's obviously day to day. We're trying to manage some of the swelling and soreness to the best of our ability, and I know he's working really hard as well to kind of get that contained as well. So, and I know Schmidt's working really hard and the doctors, but those guys are all day to day at this point.
Their leading scorer, Coakley, I think comes off the bench or has been for them. He sounds like a really good player. Can you tell me what kind of a player he is?
Plays with great motor. He's athletic. He plays with motor. He rebounds. He's very physical. He's aggressive. He posts the ball. Scores in and around the basket very well. I really fear his rebounding as much as anything. He's a terrific rebounder, and he's really good at scoring in and around the basket, has a knack and nose for the ball. He reminds me a lot of LaRon, obviously when LaRon's hitting on all cylinders. He reminds me of that. He's a really good player.
Any final questions for Coach?
Coach, this is Derek. You talked about Big Mike being the only guy who had that fire necessary at the beginning of the game. Do you feel like you need to push different buttons with different guys, or is that kind of on the leaders to get that done?
I think it's both, Derek. Obviously, I think it starts with me. I'm responsible for that. But so are captains. That's why they're called captains. They've got to take some responsibility for it as well. I thought that Mike was really locked in and ready to go. Obviously, I thought Malcolm made a lot of plays as a captain. He's obviously shouldering a pretty heavy load right now, and I'm really proud of the way he's handled himself and the amount of minutes that he's played and the different things we've thrown at him, how adaptable he's been. He's a big reason why we've been able to improvise, adapt, and overcome a little bit. He just, is so versatile. And really just kind of embraces whatever we give him. I just need him to be a guy that brings others with him more, be more vocal. Some guys have that natural ability to lead by example, some guys by voice, some guys by both. And I think he's done a lot here recently by example. I just need him to be a little bit more vocal. And then, obviously we get a couple of these guys back that are more educated with what we want said. That's the one thing my old college coach Paul Patterson said one time when I said, man, I need to get my team to talk, and he said, John, do they know what to say? You can't talk if you don't know what to say, and it's not habitual, and it's not where they just have it down, and it's not where they're overthinking. Right now when you're a newcomer and you're a young guy and it's just early, you sometimes can get paralysis through analysis. And so it's hard to process all that. Obviously Tate can process it. Nunn can process it. Black's getting a little bit better there. Hill can process it, which is why I need him to be a little bit more vocal than what he's been.
Is that everything? All righty, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see those of you who are traveling.
Safe travels, guys, and happy Thanksgiving.
Nice job.